that's not the main issue of the whole of things. You know, basically, when you are asked to say thank you to people, you really have 3 minutes to say thank you, bayadanki, readebuha, siabonga, siabulela, then I sit down. But given the fact that one has got to spice the thank you, I'd have to do that. Because if I say, okay, thank you everybody, and sit down, you will probably say, no, he did not take us seriously. And yet I do take all of you seriously. And so let me thank the organizers for having asked me to convey a word of gratitude to all of you sitting here today. And in particular, we want to thank the University of South Africa for having given an endorsement and acquiescence for the holding of this ceremony. And please do convey our very sincere gratitude to the Vice Chancellor and her management team and all the stakeholders of the university who gave an endorsement to the function to be held by the university. And so we really want to say thank you to you. And as I said earlier on, I could simply have said, thank you so much, Baya Dangi, Onse Alma, Readebuha, Readebuha, Kudu 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 Kudu, Siabonga Siabulera, Asante Sant, merci beaucoup. But I've got to, spice it, and so this is exactly what I'm going to do. I would like to convey our gratitude and thank yous to the organizing committee under the stewardship of Professor Kondlo. I'm sure we will all agree that they really went out of their way to ensure that our participation and stay at this university for these couple of days has been one of the very best. And in addition to extending our gratitude to Professor Kondlo, we have to single out Zide. Zide was very good in ensuring that she follows up, phoning people, have you found your accommodation, are you happy where you are, etc., etc. And so that has been very, very exceptionally good. You know, when we talk about Professor Kondlo and his team, we would wish to echo the sentiments expressed by Prophet Landangwe in her book, Akusiko Kwame Kwebantu. It's not about me, it's about the people. And so the essence which they have really demonstrated in ensuring that all of us, are happy, are really an embodiment of the sentiments expressed by Prophet Landangwe. We also want to thank the Sobukwe family, particularly Ms. Millie Swa Sobukwe, the one and the only daughter of Robert Magaliso Sobukwe, who also endorsed this conference in honoring the father. So we want to say to Matati, thank you ever so much. I mean, for those of you who would probably not know that Sobukwe's original surname was Rabukhwe in Lesotho. They originally came from Lesotho. His great-grandfather came from Lesotho. But upon arriving in the Eastern Cape, in a small town in the Karoo called Grafrenet, which is soon going to be named Robert Sobukwe, they established that they were Lesotho-speaking people. And those that spoke Sesotho, their Sesotho was as good as mine. So they quickly said, rather than saying Sobukwe and we have to look around for the Sobukwe, there are none, Rabukhwe. So let us just change from Rabukhwe to Sobukwe. And then the clan name was equally changed from, from Mutswene to Mfele. And I'm happy that yesterday I tried to boast, Professor Nendogulu, that from the group that was there, I'm probably one of a few who have practically met and shook hands with Sobukwe. So I was quite happy when you mentioned that today. This is really great. I think let's give him a round of applause. And over and above that, where is Christine sitting? Oh, yes. I am politically a product of these two activists. You know, in the company of Steve Biko, in the company of Peter Mohapi and Peter Jones. Of course, they will not remember me because I was a small boy when they visited Fort Hare and conscientized us. But we are where we are as a group of the early 70s at the university because of them. And where I am good, say to me, you've done well. But where I have done extremely bad, don't blame it on me, blame it on them. Colleagues, without your well-researched and empirically based presentations, we would not have been able to be so empowered. And this refers particularly to all our guest speakers, internationally, continentally, and locally. And I wish to say, let us give them a round of applause because they do. You know, Professor Madisa, there's a difference between a house and a home. What Professor Kondlo and the colleagues have done is to ensure that UNISA has become a home and not a house. Because a house is 4 walls with a roof and no people coming in and out, and we say that is a house. But a home is when in a house, people come in and out, and we say, we get the warmth of that home. So, UNISA, you have really made these 2 days a home to all of us gathered here, and I think you also deserve a round of applause. Let us thank the speakers for having touched on a number of sentiments and philosophies about Sobukwe. But in his seminar speech delivered in 1949 at Fort Hare, inter alia, he said, I wish to make it clear again that we are anti-nobody. We are pro-Africa. We breathe, we dream, we live, because Africa and humanity are inseparable, close quote. And so this is exactly what you colleagues have demonstrated to us over these couple of days. And so we want to thank you ever so much. In the same speech, and I think it was repeated yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, Sobukwe said, let me plead with you, lovers of my Africa, to carry with you into the world the vision of a new Africa, an Africa reborn, an Africa rejuvenated, an Africa recreated, young Africa, who are the first dreamers of a new Africa. And this was adequately addressed because we would not be where we are, politically speaking, let alone that Sobukwe's voice is being eviscerated, but his spirit cannot die. Let me conclude, or towards the end of my conclusion, in 2011, and I'm happy that he is here. If I misquote him, don't look at me, look at him. Professor Kondlo at Fort Hare said, and I quote, because we want to be sure that we don't steal people's words and make them ours, as it has happened with some leaders. You know, I mentioned yesterday that in 1960, Robben Island was actually meant for Sobukwe because they dumped him there, and said, you are going to rot here. But at his trial, he said, I am not going to recognize a judiciary that is presided over by white people. The magistrate is white, the prosecutor is white, etc. etc. And Nelson Mandela in 1964 repeated the same words without acknowledging Robert Sobukwe. And still further down the line, in East London, repeated the words, trying to emphasize how the legal system was bastardized by ensuring that the white domination remains in place. So they challenged the system. But Professor Kondlo said, of all political leaders we have had in the history of South Africa, Sobukwe is outstanding. He left behind an example of the caliber and the standard of leadership that this country and Africa needs. A leadership that embraces the pain of sacrifice, stands for what is good, irrespective of whether it will win or not, and sacrifices without expecting returns. What distinguishes Sobukwe is that he owned his soul. Nobody owned even a part of it for some investment or deal. When Sobukwe left this world, he took away with him the prodigal paradox of an ethical revolution, close quote. That's not me, that's Professor Kondlo. Let's give him a round of applause. And finally now, I'm not going to be like a YMG member who would always say, finally, and finally. But let me conclude by quoting Leo Buscaglia, who would always end off his speeches by saying, only you can make the difference. And tonight, I want to echo the sentiments and say, you colleagues gathered here are the only ones who can make the difference. And he goes on to say, you alone can bring magic and humor and joy to the people you encounter. Anything you dream, by the very nature that you dream it, makes it possible. The purpose of life is to help others. And if you can't help them, would you at least not hurt them? You can make things happen that you never thought you could. The greatest risk in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing, does nothing, has nothing, and is nothing. To be is to do, and to do is to do now, because tomorrow might not be there. You have everything you need to be so much, don't settle for less. There is no end to human potential, and there is so much more to learn. The time for action is now, and only you can make the difference. I thank you.
Thank you, Professor Zide. And before I call Ms. Zanji Khadele to the podium to introduce the poem, I just want to correct something, a mistake which I believe is forgivable. And that is to acknowledge in our midst the presence of our Executive Dean, Professor Zide, sitting right there with us. So I hope that my IPMS, of course, will not come to So without wasting any time, I'm going to ask Mrs. Sandy Khadele to come forward to introduce the poet. Mrs. Sandy, please.
Proffessor Magisa. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. And in welcoming Makapula Vilakazi, one of the most important poets of our times, we thought we should open with Isibane. Isibane is a song that is sung by a Black consciousness Pan-Africanist band that emerged out of the Fees Must Fall movement. So this is the kind of music that these young people produced from that moment. And Umakapula Vilakazi has become sort of the mentor to that generation of artists. And that particular song is dedicated to the memory of Chris Hani and Samuel Opama, two very important generals that this country has insisted on sweeping under the carpet. So Makapula's project also invokes, you know, their spirits and their significance in the African historiography. Going by the name of Makapula Vilakazi, the title of one of his poems, Madozi Give Ramashia. You see the ancestors are agreeing. Madozi, we welcome you. Madozi Ramashia grew up in Shawele in Soweto. His poetry is a fusion of Zosital and isiZulu and English and Sisotho. He explores the uncompromising depiction of township life, exploring issues which affect his community, such as unemployment and crime. In 2013, Makapula released his first album titled I Am Not Going Back to the Township. The album featured sampling Soweto, Impandike, poet and radio presenter Khanima Kubani. Makapula Vilakazi says that his first project is about redefining the Black person's identity by scrutinizing history and the effects of historical events on Black people in particular. On the 6th of April, mark that date, in 2021, my device is following me, Makapula released his second offering titled Concerning Blacks, which is borrowed from Frantz Fanon's chapter. It featured young artists from the Fees Must Fall movement, which you've just heard we play. In December 2023, Makapula Vilakazi released his maiden book of poetry titled Kondlo Zasegoli, and I believe he'll be reading from that anthology tonight. Makapula, we welcome you tonight.
I'm going to bore you with too much poetry. I'm just going to read 3 poems. The first one is called Ulele. Ulele, Ulele, igolile abantu. Ulele umAfrika. Uphupha inyoni zezulu. Nanamhlanje sazungeza phezu kwegazi likaDaki. Uphupha kamnandi. Uphuma isiganga esinamafulawa nuka kamnandi. Uphupha ama-days. Uphupha amakhalafini wama-Christmas amnandi. Udakwe kamnandi umAfrika omuhle. Udakwe evangeli. Udakwe indlala. Udakwe isithembiso sikaNelson nabashana bakhe baseluthula abahudulwa amakhula namajuda ngesende. Udakwe isikoloto saseNedbank. Udakwe inhlamba zonomproyi wesishwapho ombiza ngemfene ezweni lakhe. UmAfrika uphefumula ngepermission ka-Oppenheim, amphethe amagxaxa ezweni lakhe, amqala nokuthi imali ephefumule kangaki ngehora. Udakwe incwadi zamaNgisi namaJuda. Udakwe uShakespeare. Udakwe uKarl Marx. Akafundile umAfrika, udakiwe, udakwe isingisi uphupha nangaso. UmAfrika Oje besikhanya igazi limdaka bamfuna usithanda incindezelo. Usebenza kayi-30, uhola kayi-1, uvuka kayi-30, ulala kayi-1, akanyatheli uyageka, makakhabi uyahleka, utshani bencindezelo buyamkitaza, uzidibhele kamnandi umAfrika omuhle, uphupha ama-sweet pumpkins, uphupha imiqamela ama-silk. Uyakhona umAfrika, bambulele uSamoa. Uyakhona umAfrika, bambulele uSankara. Uyakhona umAfrika, bambulele ubantu bonke. Usabelo akasekho, thina mfoka Sobukwe singamagwala, siyashalaza zicela inselelo ezulu zika-Van Riebeeck. Obama ingelosi eSouth Africa, azana wabulala uGaddafi. uJoslow qhawe South Africa, azana wathengisa ngama-Afrika eCape Town nge-2 yajive South Africa, azana kuyasha. Ulele phezu kwegazi lamaqhawe namagwala amnyama. Ulele umAfrika igolide yabantu. That's ulele. The next poem, let's just read this one. It's called Ukao. Ufunani la? Akabele Maputo. Akawathi nasifuna usikuphekela. Asifuna amakhwerekhwere. South Africa thina, Africa. Angazothanda lamashangana ngamakhopha nefish. Futhi lenja ekhise price yokusheva usibalekisela ama-custom uyasikhosta kumele amasha kwayizolo sisisale thina ama-South Africans nefula zoletha emabhunini wethu. I mean yini abaxoshe makubo thina ngosibone eSomalia thina sinamapasi thina singama-South Africans namabhuni wethu abamashe kwayizolo bamfaka itosi neparaso uthaba namaphoyisa abamzwanga uthe uyabaleka wawa ethaba ngomabhodo wakhe nabantwana bakhe abakhula ngempuphu nethemba wathi uzama ukuthela iphisi ephasithini wagebhukeka waphisha wavuka sebemnamathele omanje mjondolo ngama-10 nama-5 pounds wathandaza ukawo wathandaza ngesigigama bamlapho obhokjolele nepheshini baseramaphoyisa amhudula ama-community leader amkhasa ngeparasi bashaya ibhuthe likaSamora Mashele zalilize ilinsaza zakhona bashaya amafekta bokujwayela imjondolo bamfaka esekeleni bamlayita wascream ukawo wazidahlela emhlabathini ezama ukucikila ngabe lenzondo kadala warola wavuka wascreama warola wawo washihlizela waqhuma amehlo wametha ngomemi libalele ukawo ethandaza washukuma eAfrika ngokudala bala. Peace amongst the Africans. Sondela please Jesus Christmas omhlophe lo ndakheliwe negawuni emhlophe nama-sandals sifuna wena demthetho uzozithethelela sisikambe esiqedele umsebenzi izolo. Kungakho abantwana bebefunde ama-multiracial bensundu bekhuluma isilungu nabogogo endlini bensundu benamagama sazi ukuthi ukuthini bensundu bekwazi ukubiza ibhono ngosele kodwa umAfrika emdala bembiza ngoma my-friend kodwa bensundu. Kungakho semnyama sishada ama-white wedding sidibhetha abokhani makisa abangakhulumi nangathi kungakho umAfrika eyikwangu kungakho kunomuntu kuneshangane kungakho ne-country ebizwa nge-South Africa sijida ngencwadi kaMateyu sizongcwaba umthundu sibiza uJames Estating sizongcwaba umphafuli sibiza uJesu waseNazaretha thina sihlupheke Soweto sithandaza. Amgalanzi lokho ramaphoyisa kodwa bavuka bageza bathandaza babhema bagibela ama-taxi namakhari bokuqhina ama-ofisi amakhula namaqhaxo ezintokhokho babo. Peace amongst the Africans, war against the children of Van Riebeeck. My last poem is called Words. Words. Words do not build, do not break, do not anger. Words do not love. People love. Words do not forget, do not betray, and without arms, words do not protect, do not agree, and being just words, they do not shoot. I hate words. They are words of truth. They are not the truth. They are not even lies. They are just words without lead. Centenary was not a man of words, nor was Makari. In fact, Mushweshe could not even speak, and yet it was with words that Azania was married with looters in community of no property. And the county, Umupu Mandela went. We lost all the West to let the Blapekana, or lost Mala Kamasheta Zelayo, or time by economic petrol Makaka, or time about free into poverty, or time I wanted as Kanikas the Africa. Umupi, I'll say. Uxolisa lakho mina ngaxoli ngisababela yasemandulo angangilale lesithendini angangishare lesekhaliphethe ngowami angixolela abantu abangaxolisanga mina ngihlali angandaba nephisa like ugesi manje ugesi ladwa Eskom makathanda angandaba ne-food security mina ngilambeka manje usiyakolisi very ngiyamfrostana, but I cannot bring a bomb. I cannot die inside a square. I cannot kiss a poor or play and dance to the same song. I do not want to white anymore. I do not want to socialize anymore or constitutionally prostitute my birthright for Hong Kong rebels with no whites, just waiting birthdays across the sky of stolen treasures. I do not want to white anymore. I do not want to black-based empowerment anymore. I do not want to tender or plead on behalf of thieves to look back over step wounds, to dig treasures while singing your song of a piece of poverty. I miss the rhythm of my kind of bullets dancing inside my skull in a movie about a country built on magic. I do not want to white anymore. I do not want to rainbow without bread. I do not want to hate Cecil and Anthem with his children, to shoot F-Mayor and dance to Mikasa, to beg sparrows and mourn the death of snakes, to hate Eugene and thank Flovo, to joke and beg, to smile at my killer, to forgive while bleeding. I do not want to Musa and Malima anymore, or reconcile from inside miserable coffins, to job for your song, to slave for your fund, your shirt, your dance, your cloak, pretend smile, your promise, your Madiba magic. I have buried into the bones of my brothers in a shallow grave under the sweltering heat of the southern Marikana sky, because words do not break chains, Dad. I do not want to South Africa anymore. I want to Azania of no words, of death, of birth, and learning white poison, white demons drowning in the Atlantic. Azania of no prayer, of no fist in the air anymore. Azania of beaming black smiles, black, beautiful, and borderless. I do not want to white anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have come to the end. Before I descend from the podium, I don't know, Zide, is it you who's going to just tell us what the arrangement is, or who's going to do that? Anyone who just let us know what the arrangement is all about? Because now my job is done, I just have to over to you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Manise, and yeah, thank you again. That was so wonderful. I think in terms of catering, we can, our dinner is available buffet style. So maybe we can start per table, lining up to serve ourselves over that side. So the food and the drinks on the other table. Yeah, I think that's the idea, and then we can be happy and be merry for the rest of the night. Thank you.
The elders first.
Yes, I said we start with this table. After that, I think we can follow with the one behind it, and rotate until the tables are done, and then Tina here on the outskirts we can